Hello, I'm Chris Williams from Read Comics They're Bad For You, the name of my YouTube channel. Or if you're watching this on BitChute, the name of my BitChute channel is Comic Freak. Today we're going to be talking about how the Batwoman is basically blaming angry male fans for the fact that the first episode had such a low score on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, great. That's just great, huh? Blaming us, huh? Now I have one thing to say. There are actually male fans of Batwoman? Jesting aside, let's get into this article. Today, in sadly not surprising news, in the wake of its debut this past Sunday, the newest addition to the Arrowverse, the CW's Batwoman, is currently roasted by fans. Fans on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. After just one episode, Batwoman currently sits at a 3.2 out of 10 and an 8% audience score on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, respectively. Here's how that compares to other Arrowverse shows. The Flash, 7.8.72%. Arrow, 70.5, 69%. Legends of Tomorrow, 6.8, 71%. And they'll keep making more of those stats as we go along, but it's a bit boring, and I think this person who wrote this article was just padding it out, when they could have just written in a far simpler manner, at least. But hey, when you got nothing, you gotta use what you have so you can at least make something that someone will read. Supergirl, 64.54%. You can say the order of those may be subjective, but they're all hovering in the same range. Not so with Batwoman, which has Ruby Rose playing Kate Kane, Bruce Wayne's cousin, who has a passion for social justice and a flair for speaking her mind. Oh my god, how boring. She's also a lesbian, as Kate Kane is in the comics, and the pilot includes a storyline about her ex-love interest who decided to stay in PMC train despite anti-gay prosecution, while Kane left and refused to bow to the pressure. As if this isn't dated enough. Lesbians in the military, oh my god. You guys are so boring you can't think of anything original. Gays in the military, and they're being prosecuted. Oh, that's such a sad thing. I don't care, because I've heard it so much, it's just such a boring storyline. You can argue that, well, Batwoman is just bad as an explanation for these low scores, but I mean after watching the pilot, because it is a bad show, and it was a bad episode. But let's get back to the article. It's certainly not significantly worse than any pilot we've seen out of the Arrowverse so far. I'm not so sure about that. Apparently it's been downvoted so much. It is the worst show in the CW superhero multiverse. So far, since you kind of know what you're getting with a CW superhero shows at this point, the action is fine, Rose is good as Kane, and there's nothing to warrant these rock-bottom audience scores unless... Audience wording, agenda politics incoming. This is a review bombing campaign to some extent, something that sites like Rotten Tomatoes said they were going to push back against for at least movies. This also happened to Captain Marvel for similar social justice-y reasons, but that does not seem to have taken effect for TV shows. What excuses. Here are some quotes among the most helpful reviews of Batwoman on IMDb. The hero with whom the viewer is supposed to identify is a short-haired, angry, and overbearing biker lesbian. In short, the writers wrote her to be the most unlikable stereotype one could think of. This show was made by and for progressive lunatic fringe, and there's too few of them to pay for such shows. This is also proof that Hollywood is a bubble outside reality, and that is sad for the population at large. All I'm hearing is people I agree with, and, well, they sound reasonable, and that's the main thing, while the writer of this article does not sound reasonable at all, and just sounds like an overbearing lunatic who just has something to grind against white men for some reason. She probably just blames them, or he. I really don't care, because this writer is horrible. Nothing this writer has done would make me take her seriously or him seriously with his writing. He just comes up with agenda-driven politics put into his writing, just hopes that it will come off as reasonably good and successful when it is not. Let's get back to this article and see what he has to say about Rotten Tomatoes. I love strong and empowered women characters, but not when they stop every 10 seconds to remind me how strong and empowered they are. Oh, and that they are also women. We don't need politics and TV. We need good stories and good writing. A horrible, sexist SJW mess doesn't even deserve the half star that I'm being forced to give it right now. You gotta hate how they give you half stars if you want to get your review on there, huh? Rotten Tomatoes is just a SJW NPC stick in the mud that is now lying on audience scores, or at least deleting them, so movies like Captain Marvel at least look somewhat passable, and that is a terrible thing. But at least they're not editing the audience score for Batwoman, so maybe there's hope. On IMDb, you can only see usernames, but on Rotten Tomatoes, they at least have first names listed for fan reviews and sometimes photos of the first 100 reviews. I counted 95 appear to be written by men. 2 of the 5 women gave it a positive score. The only 2 positive scores I saw out of all 100. I could probably keep going, but I'm guessing the ratio would remain roughly the same. And I think you're lying. I think a lot of women hate Batwoman because they're not NPC morons, because most people aren't, you stupid little twit SJW NPC. I think he's lying here. I think, yeah, a lot of reviews were by men, but a lot of them were probably by women. He's only counting these out probably because he doesn't want to say that most women probably hate Batwoman, because that's the way these things are. Whenever they talk like this, they're probably lying, these NPC writers. I am definitely not saying that Batwoman is some masterpiece, probably because it's such a horrible piece of poop that if you try looking like you're going to be for it, you're just going to come off like an idiot. So you're going to cover for Batwoman and insult the fan base. But it does not take the world's greatest detective to figure out what's happening here. Even if many of the negative reviews don't reference sexuality or politics, Batwoman is certainly no worse in the script and action department than early episodes of these other Arrowverse series, and yet I never saw any of them lambasted to this degree. Have you seen Supergirl, you asinine loser of a writer? People have been yelling and talking about how bad Supergirl is for years, even if she does have a gay character in it. The gay character is just as irredeemably annoying as everything else in that show. Now, I did try to watch that show, but every character spoke in Buffy speak, so it basically drove me away. Now, the CW does have other shows with LGBTQ characters. It took a few seasons, but Sarah Lance is now leading Legends of Tomorrow, where she's bisexual and has been in a relationship with a woman for 2 seasons. Now, Supergirl eventually revealed Kara's sister to be gay, but Batwoman is starting out with the concept front and center for its lead, not just as part of her identity, but also a key component in her backstory and her relationship with many of the main characters. As I said, Supergirl has a gay character, and it is her sister, and I can't watch that show because of all the Buffy speak, and, well, Batwoman doesn't look any better. In fact, it probably looks worse than Supergirl, but that can't be that much, because I've heard bad things about Supergirl lately, and this guy almost sounds like it's a good show. Warner Brothers must be paying him a lot to shill this much. Like I said earlier, he's just covering for Batwoman, and he's trying to, well, sing its praises while trying to not sound like he's just a shill and that, well, anyone can see that no one should take his opinion seriously. I expect once the trolls dissipate, this score will rise in time. I doubt it. Probably not without them, well, the owners of Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb, well, monkeying with the score. The CW has its fan base, and Batwoman looks to be perfectly fine. Another joke, and he's not trying to be funny either. A fine addition to it, but we'll have to see what the future episodes bring. But it's clear what's happening with these initial fan reviews. As ever, it's very gross. As you can see, he goes off on an insult towards the fan base, because that's how these SJW NPC writers think. Now, if you like this video, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed, because YouTube is going around unsubscribing people, so make sure you're still subscribed. If you're watching my videos but you're not subscribed, please subscribe to me. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, read comics, they're bad for you. Then go over to BitChute and subscribe to my BitChute channel, Comic Freak. Hit that bell for notifications, hit that like button, and leave some comments down below. Could you please share this video, share it on Twitter and share it on Facebook, share it anywhere you think it would do the most good, because YouTube is not going around promoting their YouTube creators anymore, and it would really help me if you could please share this video. Now listen closely. I'm going to shill and plug for my new independent comic book, so keep checking back in future videos for more information on my own upcoming independent comic book, Scumdogs. I'm Chris Williams, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video or review.